happy 48 hours till Monday. Let's welcome tonight's guests. In high school, his hair went to the prom without him. Co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, Charlie Hurt. If this guy's here, who's guarding the bridge? Host of the You're Welcome podcast, Michael Malice. His kids love watching him on TV because that means he's out of town. Actor, comedian, and Jamie LaSalle. She once grabbed a child's helium balloon and ended up in Kansas. New York Times bestselling author, Wow, look at that studio. All right, before we get to some news stories, let's do this. I never really
Greg's Leftovers.
All right. It's Leftovers, where I read the jokes we didn't use this week. If they suck, we'll send Joe Mackey to an ICE detention center covered in bean dip.
All
right.
Oh, poor Joe.
A powerful 5.0 magnitude earthquake struck the city of Tupan, China. Even though the epicenter was 7,000 miles away, Bill Clinton still told the Hooters waitress to get under the table. How we were able to connect an earthquake. In an interview, Madonna said that John Kennedy Jr. was the best sex of her life. What about us? Said the Detroit Pistons.
Oh. Nice. Good work, Mackie.
Milli Vanilli denies that they're playing at America's 250th celebration, mainly because one half of the duo is dead. Of course, that never stopped this famous pair. Jerry Nadler visited an ICE detention center in Newark where he heard that there are maggots in the food, prompting him to call his assistant to bring him his maggot sauce. A Florida cop pulled over a one-handed woman for holding a cell phone while driving. Don't ask her how she operated the stick shift. There are reports that the next James Bond will be a woman. Yeah, instead of a license to kill, she'll have a license to blame you for whatever happened to her in her dreams. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket exploded in a giant fireball on the launch pad. The explosion was so powerful that it's almost a day later and his wife's tits are still shaking. No Kings announced they're holding a protest concert with Bette Midler, Joy Reid, and Jane Fonda on the same night as the White House UFC event. So you can either watch people who suffer from head injuries or the UFC. An avocado festival in Mexico set a new record with a 14,991-pound serving of guacamole. It also set a record for hiding 300 illegal immigrants in a 14,991-pound serving of guacamole. A new study shows that talking animals are getting more screen time than women over 60 in Hollywood. Yeah. Although some people couldn't tell the difference. A meteor was caught on video crashing into an erupting volcano in the Philippines, in what's being called the most unlikely collision of disasters since Courtney Love married Larry Kudlow. It's a brief. Scientists now believe that we all have a twin of ourselves living in a parallel universe. Wow, that's terrible news. That means there's two Kilmeads. RFK Jr. was bitten numerous times after snatching up two snakes. Don't worry, they quickly administered rabies shots and the snakes are doing fine. In China, a startup built an AI pet translator with amazing accuracy. But over there, every dog keeps saying the same thing. Why are you sprinkling salt on me? They eat dogs, not my problem. During a live taping of The View, Whoopi Goldberg mistook an audience member for Barack Obama. I know, when in fact it was Michelle Obama. And finally, the lead singer of a famous rock band has come out as gay after being married for 14 years. The wife had suspicions since while the other bandmates banged groupies, he would guys. How did she not notice? She had her suspicions. So it's rough news for the Dems. Turns out they have no breakthrough candidate, and voters just let them know it. A new poll of 2028 contenders is out, and it's bleaker than a dog park in Vietnam. Pete Buttigieg leads the field at just 18%, Gavin 16, AOC 11, Josh Shapiro 10, and Kamala's also at 10%, matching her blood alcohol level. That's the future of the party. But this is what happens when a party loses an election and learns absolutely nothing from it. After all, that DNC autopsy of 2024 should have been an opportunity for enlightenment. Instead, it had more gaslighting than Jerry Nadler lighting his farts after a night of Taco Bell. They still don't get it, yet voters got it perfectly. They saw the open borders, identity politics, men and women's sports, rampant criminality, cities turned into outdoor pharmacies. But instead of repudiating any of it, Dems are just trying to rebrand it. But you might as well rebrand your stint with ISIS as just a poor choice for spring break. All right. So why is it so hard for the Dems to admit they really screwed up? Well, one, their egos won't allow them. And two, their children. Caught in a dilemma between starting something new versus continuing down a path where they've already made gains in terrible things, they do what a child does. Continue racking up gains in terrible things. They can't see the future benefit if they start over. It's like the hiker who is lost but keeps going in the wrong direction because they don't want to start over. That's how I lost my first 3 wives who had put on weight. You know, you don't deserve that joke. And this doomed path can only survive through the promise of more free stuff because they've trained the voters for that. And there's no way to tell them it's over. They can't end the instant gratification and suddenly say, you got to do the hard work just like the people you hate. It's why they can't let go of identity politics. You already told voters they deserve something just by being you, which means the only path is taking from the more successful and turning it into free stuff for them. On top of that, you add the reward of feeling special, even though the takers have done nothing to deserve it. So you end up with an entire party that no longer can function like the rest of us. Meanwhile, it offers the same old faces that gave us the summer of love, the border disaster, the COVID nonsense. But here's the bigger problem. They think they can win just by waiting America out. They're like our foreign adversaries. Don't worry, Trump will be gone, sit tight. That's how China's been operating for a while. So their answer is just an airbrushed version of the same 2020 insanity. But you can't spend years telling people that merit is racist, the border is oppressive, men can get pregnant, shoplifting is economic justice, and then 4 years later, when people ask you about those issues, not have moved a single inch. So their plan will be to avoid talking about all that stuff, which sadly will leave them with absolutely nothing to talk about. Charlie. Charlie.
I'm worried about where this is going.
Me too. Hashtag don't touch me. You know, it seems to me that the Democrats are not looking for ideas or trying to rediscover common sense. They're just kind of banking on somebody to show up that will repackage old ideas. Kind of like a Mondami.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to exactly what you just said. For them, it's always been about just being who they are.
Yeah.
Because of their personality or because of who they are, they're in line to assume power next. The greatest gift that Donald Trump gave, the thing that upset people, that people got upset about with Donald Trump, was he took a blowtorch to all the niceties and all the norms of politics. But that's also the greatest thing that he did. And because he did that, we're talking about ideas. And both 2016 and 2024 are the most issue-oriented elections of our lifetime because Donald Trump seared away all of that. And I think that, to me, the biggest number, the most important number, is Karen Bass is running for re-election. She's the incumbent. She's at 26%. This is after Gavin Newsom, the sitting governor of a very Democrat state, has endorsed her, and she's sitting at 26% in the polls. And I think that what that proves is it's not just conservatives or right-wingers or independents who are sick and tired of Democrat ideas. It's Democrats in the most Democrat state in the country.
Very interesting, Michael.
Is it?
Not really.
No, because no, it's not.
But it's Friday. I'll be nice. Michael, you're kind of a careful pessimist, I would say.
No, my book's called The White Pill. It's about hope. I'm not a pessimist at all. America's great, and our best days are ahead of us, not behind us.
I'll edit that out. So, I guess what I'm saying is, do not count your chickens before they hatch.
That's right. And
Yes.
I think, to Charlie's point, Karen Bass might be at 26%, but I'm sure if you combine the Democratic candidates' vote, it's going to be like 70%. I don't think Spencer Pratt's breaking 50%. Look, here's the thing that the real number, I think, is President Trump beat Officer Harris by 1.5 points in the popular vote. So you had the worst Democratic candidate in decades and the best Republican campaign in decades, and he still didn't have a huge blowout like Bush in '88 against Dukakis. So I think all the Democrats have to do is say, we're not Trump, we're not the Republicans. They might not understand binary in a gender term, but they do understand binary in a political sense. So if I'm not the Republicans and the Republicans are unpopular, people are going to vote for the Dems.
That is such a really good point that I didn't think of, that, like, if they're so into non-binary, why aren't they non-binary in politics?
Right. Because you know why?
Why?
Because all it comes down to is, what do I need to say to get you to do what I want? They don't use language to communicate. They use it to manipulate. And you don't have to take anything they say at face value because it's just about power.
It's a great point. Hey, producer, can we edit that out as well? I'm going to say the exact same thing on the 5. I probably will without even knowing it. Anyway, so Kat, is it just too early?
Yes.
It's okay. It's almost. Where are we? 26. It's
Correct.
not quite.
Good one. Good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Nice job.
That's what you
Come
do,
on,
Michael.
You know what year it is.
You agree with me?
Yes.
Is it 2 years so far? 2 years so? We got another 2 years.
Good
but really,
math.
the last year doesn't really matter. Nobody's paying attention.
No, it's. Why do we always have to do this?
Yeah.
Like in 2028. Can we just like take it a little slower than that? Who knows what the world's gonna look like by 2028? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, there could be a lot in store. I might get another cat.
I hope you get another cat, because I really miss the cat stories.
I feel like I need. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna end up getting a cat. It's like I had enough, hard enough time getting through 5/28.
Yeah.
Which was yesterday. And now we're like 2028. We do this because whatever. It's something to talk about, I guess. But there's so many things that could change. There's so many things. It will be interesting, though, I think, to not have Trump on the ballot, because everything, and I mean everything, still revolves around him so much. And I know you hate when I talk about Love Island, but here we go.
Oh, boy.
Love Island is starting on June 2nd.
What?
Thank God, good reason to live. But the cast list came out, and there already people are looking for like who follows Trump, and who is there. This person posted in a MAGA hat at some point, or is this person associated with it, and trying to be like, well, I know who we're voting off. This is a show where people in their early 20s hang out by a pool, gyrate on each other, and vote people off of an island. None of this should be involved in terms of that. So it touches truly everything. Will that change? It has to some extent.
Well, that kind of infection is everywhere. It's like if a pop singer can't say that they like this show because they'll get in trouble. But I bet they find a replacement for that. Whoever is, if it's Vance or if it's Rubio, it's going to be like he has a Rubio bumper sticker on his.
It's not going to be as bad.
Yeah, it won't be.
I think Trump is uniquely deranging to people.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do too.
He's like the heroine of derangement.
Yeah.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Greg.
How are you?
I'm good. I really liked your joke about the ex-wife's hiking and gaining weight.
You actually look like the photo of the quote bereaved husband
Yeah.
after you've reported that she fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I'm like, just bring her back if you have her.
Oh, wow.
You know, my ex-wife, same thing happened. Every time I went out of town, she gained the weight of another man on top of her.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Yeah.
To the topic, I don't know what the Dems are doing wrong, but keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of fun to watch. You almost don't want to fix it. And it doesn't matter. They don't listen anyway. They just
Right.
keep doing everything wrong, so it's kind of fun. I personally do enjoy watching it, even though it's way too early. I'm rooting for, if I have to root for somebody, I'm rooting for AOC. Because I root for things based on the amount of comedy potential.
Yes.
And we will get the most clips from. Did you know, I read this week, that AOC, did you know why she goes by AOC?
Why?
It's because anybody dumb enough to vote for her wouldn't be able to remember her name in the voting booth. That way they're in there like, hey, oh, how do you spell AOC? And I find it.
Yeah.
I do think she's hot, though.
She's
You agree?
attractive.
I think
Yeah.
she's like an 8 or a 9, but then when she opens her mouth, it keeps going down. It's like 9, 8, 7, 6.
I hope that gets clipped. All right, up.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.